Imagine a gang from another country invading your neighborhood, stealing, robbing, and fighting while the authorities stand by, helpless. This is not just a hypothetical situation. It's happening in places like Aurora, Colorado, where criminal gangs like Tren de Aragua, originating from Venezuela, are wreaking havoc. In this video, we'll expose the real danger these gangs pose and why our leaders are doing nothing to stop them. The rise of Venezuelan gangs in the U.S. The Tren de Aragua gang has taken advantage of the chaos in Venezuela, where thousands are fleeing economic collapse and extreme violence. But not all who leave are escaping for a better life. Some, like members of the Tren de Aragua, have brought their criminal activities across the border. In Aurora, Colorado, this gang is said to have taken over apartment complexes, threatening residents, carrying guns, and even extorting rent from tenants. Disturbing footage from Aurora shows Venezuelan gang members breaking into homes, brandishing rifles, and intimidating the locals. It's no longer safe to sleep at night, as residents frequently hear gunshots. Just recently, bullet holes were discovered in bedroom windows, highlighting how unsafe the area has become. The numbers speak for themselves. A 911 call on South King Drive reported that 6,124 Venezuelans were trespassing a building and brandishing guns, even showing them in the courtyard. The situation escalated to the point that Venezuelans were reportedly using motorcycles to further terrorize the neighborhood. This same call mentioned a person with a gun and large gatherings, causing local streets to be filled with tension and fear. The raw data also pointed to a brutal robbery incident that occurred in Denver in June, linked to Venezuelan immigrants. In that case, young men pulled guns and pistol-whipped two women. It wasn't just petty crime, it was violent, organized, and devastating. Federal authorities handed over one suspect, Jean Torres Roman, to the Denver County Sheriff's Office after this jewelry store robbery, showing the direct link between rising crime and these undocumented gangs. Politicians and local leaders. Where are they? In the face of such chaos, you'd expect local politicians, governors, and mayors to take immediate action. Yet, they've done little to combat this growing threat. Sanctuary laws and policies aimed at protecting undocumented immigrants have made it nearly impossible for police and federal authorities to work together to deport or detain these criminals. While politicians preach compassion, the result is a neighborhood left to fend for itself, overrun by violence and fear. In Aurora, there are mixed messages. The city mayor has confirmed that the Tren de Aragua gang is collecting rent at a troubled apartment complex, but the interim police chief claims this isn't happening. This confusion only adds to the residents' frustration. Who do they trust? Who will protect them? While leaders debate, these gangs continue to extort money from vulnerable residents. A city held hostage by fear. The situation in Aurora is not an isolated case. Chicago is another hotspot where Venezuelan gangs have started to take control of neighborhoods. A resident in the area recounted how 600 Venezuelan gang members have taken over buildings in Chicago, with 6,124 reportedly trespassing and showcasing firearms in public areas. These aren't small-time criminals. They are organized, well-armed, and unafraid to challenge the local authorities. This situation is alarming because it's spreading across the U.S., particularly in lower-income neighborhoods where residents are already struggling. And it's not just the gangsters who suffer. Innocent immigrants who have fled Venezuela in search of safety are also being targeted by these gangs, coerced into criminal activities, or used as scapegoats by those who see all immigrants as a threat. The role of media and fake news. Another layer of complexity in this situation is the narrative surrounding Venezuelan gangs and immigrants. On one side, media reports paint a picture of complete chaos, while on the other side, authorities downplay the severity of the issue. Residents in Aurora have mixed feelings. Some claim they haven't seen gang activity firsthand, while others live in fear, hearing gunshots regularly and seeing broken windows and damaged property throughout their neighborhood. A recent visit to one of the apartment complexes, reportedly overtaken by gangs, showed a scene of utter disrepair: boarded-up doors, broken windows, uncollected trash piling up, and signs of violence everywhere. Residents are often reluctant to speak out, fearing retaliation, but those who do report living in terror. Why is nothing being done? The most pressing question is, why aren't our leaders stepping in to stop this? The answer may lie in politics. Many politicians are hesitant to act because of the delicate issue of immigration reform. They fear that targeting undocumented immigrants, even those involved in criminal activities, will result in backlash from voters or advocacy groups. Sanctuary policies make it harder for local law enforcement to collaborate with federal agencies, allowing dangerous criminals to remain in the U.S. unchecked. While local leaders debate, criminals exploit the system, leaving communities like Aurora vulnerable. The presence of these gangs has left families afraid to leave their homes at night and children exposed to violence daily. The human cost. For those living in areas like Aurora and South King Drive in Chicago, this isn't just a story on the news, it's their reality. They are caught in a dangerous situation where criminal gangs control their homes and political leaders offer no solutions. Many are afraid to speak out, worried about their own safety, or too discouraged to believe anything will change. The human cost of this situation is heartbreaking. Immigrants who fled violence in Venezuela are finding themselves in a similar situation in the U.S., while innocent residents are left to deal with the chaos. Children are growing up in fear, hearing gunshots instead of laughter, and communities are falling apart under the weight of gang violence. The rise of Venezuelan gangs in cities like Aurora, Colorado, and Chicago is a clear and present danger. The numbers don't lie. Violence is escalating, and our leaders are doing nothing. As long as sanctuary policies protect these criminals and politicians refuse to act, communities will continue to suffer. The time for action is now, before more lives are lost and more cities fall into the grip of violent gangs. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can push for the changes that our communities desperately need.